Good morning, friends. Welcome to Cola Teaches Math. So I'm back to showing you some videos on my smartboard. So today I want to talk about how to know when to use the intermediate value theorem versus the mean value theorem on a free response question, specifically with tables. So first I have 4 questions up here. I'm going to show you how I know which theorem it is, and then we're going to talk about the conditions that need to be met in order to use the theorem. Okay, so first of all, this was from 2023. It was the first question on both exams, and I just snipped the table. So they give you a table that represents time, seconds, and F of t, so in gallons per second. And they say must there exist a value of c between 60 to 20 such that the derivative is equal to 0. So anytime the question is asking about, like if they give you f and they're asking about f prime of t, I know this is going to be the mean value theorem. I'll come back to this, but watch. Look at this next question. 2022, number 4. Is there a time t for which r prime of t equals -6? Well, the table already is r prime of t, so it's just going to be the intermediate value theorem. If they said r double prime of t, it would be the mean value theorem. Okay, next. 2018. Explain why there must be at least one time such that h prime of t equals 2. Well, look at what the table is. The table is h. So they're talking about h prime. So that's how I know it's going to be the mean value theorem. And then for 2016, this one's a little tricky, but they say, for 0 to 8, is there any time t when the rate at which the water is pumped into the tank is the same as the rate at which the water is removed from the tank? Because this is already the rate. So they're asking when is r of t equal to, this question was w of t for rate in, rate out. And this is going to be the IVT. Okay, so that's how you know which to use. And now I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do these questions. Okay, so first of all, we said this first question was the mean value theorem. So if you know it's the mean value theorem, step 1 is you want to show that the average rate of change equals the instantaneous rate of change. So if you look here, our goal is to get a slope of 0. So the left side, we want it to be 0. If you look, do you see these 2 coordinates that I circled? If I do 0.1 minus 0.1 over, it doesn't matter, 60 minus 120, that's going to give me 0. That is the goal we want to show. So then we're going to say, you have to say, in order to use the mean value theorem, the function is continuous and differentiable. Usually the AP questions will say that the function is differentiable. So you need to say, because it's differentiable, it implies continuity. So f of t is differentiable, so it is continuous. Because those are the prerequisites for the mean value theorem. You need to be continuous and differentiable. So then we can say, by the mean value theorem, f prime of c equals 0. And then you're just going to restate the question. For some c, on the interval 60 to 120. Okay, but you have to state we are differentiable and continuous. By the mean value theorem, state what they want. This needs to be shown. Okay, I'll do an intermediate value theorem one now. So this one's intermediate value theorem. In order to use the intermediate value theorem, the function has to be continuous. Okay, so that's the condition. So this question probably said it did. It said r prime of t is differentiable. So you're going to say r prime of t is continuous. You always want to state these conditions first. And now look at your goal. IVT just says if we have 2 points, we're going to hit every single point in between there as long as we're continuous. So we have a continuous table. And they want to know, is this r prime of t ever going to equal -6? Well, let's just think mathematically. if I'm plotting points, and I plot this first point, and then this next point, to go from negative 6.1 to negative 5, we are obviously going to cross negative 6 if we're continuous. So we're going to state that out. I already stated, if you want to make it in the list form, you can. You can start with this bullet. Then I like to list the coordinates. So in my class, we like to say r prime of 0 is negative 6.1, r prime of 3 is negative 5.0. Then you're going to want to state that negative 6 is in between these y values. So look, I'll highlight it. Negative 6 is in between these y values. Okay? So then we're going to have negative 6.1 is less than or equal to negative 6 is less than or equal to negative 5.0. And then the last bullet point is to restate the question. By the mean value, by the intermediate value theorem, r prime of 6, r prime of t equals negative 6 for some t on the interval 0 to 3. Some t on 0 to 3. Okay, and that is it.